Hello there, friends. I'm Shenanigoon, and welcome to my Splinter Cell Conviction Deadshot Challenge. Boy, that's a mouthful. Here's the goal. Beat the game, never miss. Here's the one very simple rule. If I miss a single shot, or if I use any grenades and they don't kill someone, then I must reset for the last checkpoint. A missed shot is any that doesn't make contact with what I'm aiming at, even if they still hit the person in general, so headshots are almost always needed, lest I specifically aim for a leg sticking out. I may use any resource to win my fights, but I cannot miss. Sam Fisher is one of the most dangerous marksmen ever, and it's time to prove it. Let's do this thing. I start off the game trying to enjoy a nice, quiet dinner by me lonesome when a waiter shows up, and from then on I have a tiny voice in my head telling me to kill people. This voice introduces herself as the daughter of Grim. Based on what she's asking me to do, I assume she means the Grim Reaper. I run from cover to cover right in front of a gunman who has the worst detention skills ever, but I guess a phone call is more important than keeping an eye out for the notorious assassin he's here for. Right then, I have war flashbacks, and I find myself in the most dangerous battlefield of all, raising my daughter. Being the good dad I am, I teach her how to murder her enemies in the dark by dropping nightlights on them, then in the words of NMM, snap back to reality and oh, there goes gravity for the first 3 Howard guns. Oh wait, I guess I forgot a key part of that memory because I'm back in it and headshotting through the 3 unluckiest armed burglars formerly alive as they chose perhaps the worst apartment ever to break into. I drop back into the present and drop 3 more enemies using the handy mark and execute ability, which allows me to highlight and headshot a set number of enemies after I perform a melee kill. Clearing the next group is simple, and I goblin crouch walk to the man I'm here to interrogate. We perform a little jig together in the middle of this dingy bathroom, and I ask him to say hello to the man in the mirror. And the next level, I make my first reset when the lucky guard uses the force to sense impending danger and moves at the last second. After messing up a second time in the exact same scenario, I decide to do something unthinkable. I simply open the door directly behind him and shoot him. Unthinkable, I know. I make my way into the mansion, make a note that if I'm ever in a giant mansion, I will not sit directly underneath a giant chandelier. This time, clearing the room goes simple with some nicely placed headshots. It helps that these guys like to stand in one place, and also all suffer from night blindness. I climb a pipe and drop down on a dude about 7 feet away from 2 of his friends, but they suffer from both extreme nearsightedness and being mostly deaf. Really in the wrong line of work, I'd say. I really prove how bad of a shot I am when I fail to hit the light above me. I promise you it moved at super speed, and that's why I missed. I make a man realize that in the whole staying alive business, don't put your back to an open window, and I hope he really learned his lesson in the second he had left on this mortal plane. Unfortunately, this is not a well-taught lesson in thug school, and I have to teach it again shortly after. But I'm always happy to educate. As I close in on the man I'm hunting, he suddenly has the magical ability to know where I am, which I find truly shocking, being nobody before in this game has shown the ultimate counter to stealth. Peripheral vision. After he teaches me a song on the piano, I'm knocked out by a bunch of copycats. When I wake up, the big bad named Tom tries to show me his own marksman skills, but I find them most disappointing. I finally get to meet that tiny voice's flesh avatar, and she has me hit her to keep her cover from being blown. I lose myself in her eyes, though, for a bit, and it becomes a tad awkward. I'm so flustered that I get detected right away and miss. I come back and fix my mistakes, then clear out a hangar of very, very mentally slow men. Here's an idea. If you find a dead body, maybe don't stand exactly where it obviously just got killed. This airfield may look like an airfield, but it's actually, you guessed it, hell. Yep. The rest of this level is me making mistake after mistake as I try desperately to land my shots, and the bad guys being, well, bad guys, and not letting me. How dare they? Don't they know I'm the main character? It takes some careful maneuvering and some very stupid enemies to finally make it past. After losing repeatedly and getting so close so many times, I flee from the next set of enemies in order to fight them from a better position. Much to my surprise, hearing the voice in my head again makes all the very determined enemies just vanish. Poof. Making me doubt if they ever were even there. Spooky! I hop into a car and drive right into a war flashback. Now wielding a really long pistol that some refer to as an AK-47, this level plays out a bit differently. The slightest squeeze of the trigger seems to cause a burst fire. Headshots aren't quite as vital as long as I still hit wherever I'm aiming at. Not every bullet will hit simply because the enemy will fall down dead before the burst is over. I do use this burst to my benefit though when taking out 2 enemies at a time, then making fireworks for the others. Making my way to save my captain taken hostage, I stumble upon the most blind enemy of all. It is in the middle of the day, yet this guy can't see me sneaking around. Maybe he just isn't paid well enough to do anything about it. I wouldn't have to repeat so many times, though, if I was just a tad more patient. But my brain says, no, go faster. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. My brain lies. When I find my friend, I stare at their guards, waiting for them to notice me. I decide to get their attention with the best tool, I'm sure, for all hostage situations. A boom boom egg. Somehow, my buddy's still alive after the explosion, and surprise, surprise, it's me, Sam Fisher. Plot twist. I flash back into my friend's war memories. This is getting very trippy. We hold off an assault thanks to the most conveniently stacked red barrels ever, and then back to the present I go. I telepathically know exactly where 3 men tailing my friend are. Instead of just knocking them out, I decide to interrogate each of them. Why? So I can find out why they're tailing my friend, despite the beginning of the level telling me exactly.
It's not a secret that we know each other, Vic. They're watching you, hoping to catch me.
Also, note to self, not a good idea to drop the bad guy in front of the soda machine. People get angry. They want their soda. I find my friend, communicate to him in secret spy code, and when the bad guys show up, I try to run away in the opposite direction. But the game says, no, go in the direction of the men hunting you. So I listen to the great game overlord and get to work shooting people. I also take out a teddy bear that looks mighty suspicious. I play health inspector and the girl doesn't quite pass bullet inspection, unfortunately incinerating my fellow inspectors. May they rest in peace. I drive out of there and break into a supposedly very secure building, but even when I use my spy movements on a scientist, they don't notice me. Once inside, I use the security camera to spy on some bad guys like any good spy, but then I get distracted by a truly handsome fella. I think someone gets killed, but I have to stay focused on what matters. I execute the entire room from above like a gun-wielding Spider-Man, the more impressive part being when my bullet goes straight through a whole lot of matter to get that last guy. I find a map of radiation casualties, and I'm appalled by the lack of accuracy and precision. Tisk, tisk. I spend far too much time in this next section, and at one point, I may lose my mind. Just a little bit. Not that anyone can prove it. When I make it on, I continue my school of trying to teach thugs how to survive. Next lesson, don't use an elevator. I have to teach this lesson 3 times in a row, and boy, oh boy, do they not learn. I shove a corrupt suit man into a TV, and surprisingly, he doesn't pass out from the pain. No worries though, he gets shot a second later and I chase the shooter. I run into some cops who I have to use non-lethal methods on, and I'm good with that. I just have one quick question. How do these random cops know my name? Better not to question it. Guess I'm just a very famous spy, which is like the worst kind of spy, I think. I finally catch up with the shooter and he gets killed too. This is getting out of hand. An assassin for an assassin while being chased by another assassin? I then proceed to break into the greatest spy agency ever by doing what they would never expect. Laying down in the backseat of a car. Truly a genius move. I mean, who would think of literally looking there? I prove myself an extra layer of terrible by losing without taking a single step by shooting the camera. Turns out that's suspicious. Who knew, right? I spent an emotional whirlstorm inside the longest elevator ride ever. It's nice when the elevators know you're having a moment, so they take extra long to get to the next floor. Handy. When I get there, I make a really cool introduction, then, as I do with every single moment, I screw up the next second, totally ruining it. At this moment, I also find some shutting gates that absolutely live for drama. I mean, look how they close so slowly till you make it to the other side, then they slam shut instead of slamming shut right away. What polite gates. I pick off some guards and become detected suddenly, though I quickly find out it's just a camera. Silly camera, if everyone's already dead, who are you gonna call? I guess the Ghostbusters would be perfect to call now. Now that the game is almost over, I'm given my iconic goggles that open my third eye and allow me to see through walls. I use this dark magic to make my way past some lasers that were designed like this is a video game. Which, yes, it is, but how do they know that? Why not just make the lasers cover the whole room? Budget cuts? I'm attacked by my copycats, and these guys know what they're doing. I die. A lot. Thankfully, I'm the main character, so I can keep trying till I get it right, and they are dead. After I die shortly after, I reset and go AFK for a moment to grab food. This is notable because when I come back, I find 2 very patient enemies. Why are they afraid to enter this room, or even fire into it? I have no idea. Does this once again make me think this is all in Sam's head? Yes. But I do what any sane person does. I lock it away and get to work. Some more copycats appear, and they take 2 headshots to put down, so I go with the next best option to deal with them. Boom boom eggs. Apparently, their training doesn't cover that. I go to a room with Grim, and suddenly a bunch of words swirl around me, letting me know this is an emotional moment. Well, emotions equal power, as we all know, and suddenly Sam goes through the rest of the level, proving he's just playing around most of the time, and he's done playing now. That was super cool to be able to mark and execute anytime you want. But maybe it should have been saved for the end of the game, because now I'm just going to go through the rest of it, knowing Sam just isn't angry enough to wipe everyone out easily. While crawling through the sewers like the little rat I be, I come across some thugs who somehow don't see me. To test this further, I toss a loud blinking mine in the middle of their circle. No response. It's nice to know my enemies only recruit the brain dead for their team. It does make a lot of sense though. I try to use an EMP on computer-controlled turret, but the turret just says no, and there's nothing I can do about that. I come under attack by a helicopter with a very strange pattern. Why it doesn't just maneuver around and shoot me, I don't know. I'll take it though. I reunite with my daughter and we take a lovely trip to the White House. Well, almost. Turns out the White House doesn't like attack helicopters flying right at it, and down we go. I head off on my own because, this is a stealth game, and friendly NPCs love to ruin stealth. I make my way through the streets in the name of Green Goblin. I just start chucking bombs down on my enemies from above. It's highly effective. One of the baddies is given his speech.
Trying to get inside the perimeter will be shot.
So I decide to help make his point after I realize he's inside the perimeter. At this point, you might be asking yourself, Shenanigoon, how are you going to breach the White House's defenses? It's not like there's a highly convenient placed explodable truck right at the gates, is there? I make my way inside, blow up a whole bunch of mercs, then seek to ambush the last one alive, but the universe says no, so I'm forced to reset. Once inside, I make it to where the mercenaries are protecting the very corrupt vice president, but the game does not appreciate my handling of the situation. More of those sneaky boys show up to ambush me now that I'm in the endgame, but I've learned that the best counter to their stealth is big explosions. I make it to the final room when suddenly, betrayal! Grim shoots me and takes me prisoner to confront the big bad Tom and save the president. While the villain gives a classic villain speech, I mark all his henchies for death. How will I pull this off without a gun, you might wonder? Easy! The real gun is the friend we made along the way, and Grim helps me finish the job. I'm now given a choice to either spare or kill Tom, and while I would normally spare, this is a no missing challenge, and I know you miss every shot you don't take, so... And there you go! My challenge is complete. It was tough and fun, and I don't think I'm a better shot than when I started, but it really made me be patient and strategic. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, please feel free to subscribe for more content like this from a variety of games. Leaving a like also means the world to me and helps quite a bit. Have a marvelous day, friends.